So I know that like the new system isn't real. I know that the new order isn't real. But if you're watching this video, I just want you to take a little trip with me down the what if road. And let's just imagine that it was, because there's some funny stuff to think about. Well, I think it's funny, but it's also kind of unfair. But what if it were true? What if the way that the Jehovah's Witness doctrine explains it were true, and Armageddon came, the end is the end is here, and now the new system comes. So first of all, the governing body recently made a new class of anointed ones. Before, it was understood that the entire group of the anointed was a faithful and discreet slave, and now the governing body came out and said, oh, no, they're just regular anointed. The governing body is the actual faithful and discreet slave. So now, for the people who were anointed and died, right, and if this were true, we know it's not, but they get to heaven, and then they think, oh, we're part of the faithful and discreet slave, yeah, and then they realize there's still a class above them. There's still the governing body, like in a different class, like above them. So for some of them, that would probably be like, man, these bastards, I can't get away from them, but, whatever. Here on earth, though, would be where the craziness would really probably set in, right? So you would have the people who made it through Armageddon, the witnesses who made it through Armageddon. I don't know what fake number we want to throw out there, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, maybe half of them made it through, and the other ones have to be resurrected. I don't know, but however many there are, there's that many people on earth that made it through Armageddon. Not a lot. The earth would feel pretty abandoned with, even if it were 7 million, it would feel, pretty abandoned. I would imagine the vast majority of people in the new system would be resurrected people, right? Because the righteous and the unrighteous are supposed to come back under the doctrine. And so the vast majority would be resurrected people. But by the teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses, those resurrected people aren't supposed to have like any earthly wants, any earthly needs. You're not supposed to, want sex or marriage or, companionship or human touch or whatever, because the question that would always come up that I remembered was, okay, someone dies and then their spouse marries someone else, they make it through Armageddon, but then the person who died, the guy who died, wakes up in the new system and he comes looking for his wife, and his wife already has a husband. Well, it was always explained that, well, that resurrected person won't have those earthly needs. They'll be different. So that's where when I was young, it got really weird for me, because I'm like trying to envision and visualize what that would look like. Are they like zombies? Are they just kind of walking around in a trance, no emotion? That probably wouldn't be something real fun to be resurrected to, right? Just let me sleep. You know what I mean? But then in the new system that we know is fake, there would be different classes, right? So the way I made it, make sense in my head, I just imagine like they had different colors on, like the Star Trek, show used to be. So I think like the medical people had on like blue, and then like engineers had on red, and then also like the foot soldiers a lot of times would have on red, because they would just go down the planets and they would die. But like the command people had on like yellow shirt or gold shirts. Captain Kirk wore gold, I think. And there was another color in there that I'm forgetting. But the different classes had different colors on. So like, would the resurrected people have to walk around like with a red shirt on, that identifies them as a resurrected? They would at some point want some rights, right? So since they're going to have free will, because remember, there's supposed to be 1,000-year reign by the doctrine, and then Satan would be released back onto the earth again, and then a certain amount of people are supposed to follow him as he deceives them one last time. They're supposed to die with him as he's tossed into the lake of fire or whatever, and he's killed forever, which means if people could follow him, they're going to have free will to make decisions. And if they have free will to make decisions, would one of them decide, forget this, I want my wife back and just go shank somebody? Would somebody decide this isn't fair? We want rights, just like the people who made it through Armageddon. I don't want to live forever and never have sex. You know what I mean? Like, what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna wake up and sing Kingdom Melodies every day, and you know, what am I gonna do with my time? I can't have a wife. I can't have fun. I can't have a kid. You know what I mean? What am I gonna do with forever? You know, forever. So, would there be like secret, like made it through Armageddon class parties, like where they're dancing and, you know, having sex with their wives and you know, talking about all the stuff they get to do that the resurrected people don't get to do? It really would be like very serious, like classism, you know, in the New Order, you know, by the teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses. And these poor resurrected people are just supposed to be like some sort of zombie that got their emotion ripped out and got their want to love and be loved ripped out, their want for physical pleasure ripped out, right? And that don't seem like nowhere I'd want to be. If I woke up to that, you know, I'd be mad, like, man, y'all could have let me stay asleep, man. But just, you know, weird thoughts I think about, like, if it were true, there's some serious problems in the plot. You know what I mean? There's some serious plot holes. There's some serious working out of details someone that needs to do. Maybe they need some new light, because it just doesn't sound right. You know, it doesn't say. If this were a movie and you saw it, you would feel really, really bad for the resurrected people, because you're like, man, they're not even a human being anymore. I don't know what they are, but you know, in the horror movies, that's where they like start like, you know, turning to zombies and like chasing people around. So is that what would happen? Yeah, I don't know. I can just imagine. I mean, there'd be no police, right? There'd be no police anymore. There'd be no doctors anymore, right? Because there'd be no sickness, and there supposedly would be no crime. So if a group of resurrected people wanted to really wreck shop and cause some problems, they probably could, you know what I mean? And who's gonna stop them? Can you die in the New Order? I don't know. I mean, I always heard you can't get sick, but I guess you could die. Like if you go walking up to a cliff and fall over the cliff and, you know, drop 100 feet, you would still die, right? Like, what, would you be instantly resurrected? I don't know. That's a whole nother story. But I just think that there's some holes in the plot. You know what I mean? And they really need some new light. They need to have a new idea of what resurrected people, what kind of life they're going to have, because it doesn't sound very appealing to live forever and just, you know, be a zombie. You know what I mean? With no earthly wants, no earthly needs. For me, no women, no, forever. Come on, I couldn't do it. I would be like the first one, like creating an uprising if it were real, and if I were, you know, if I died and I was resurrected, I would have to create a problem. I would find a way to bust out of my zombieism and create a problem, because I would definitely at least give me women. You know what I mean? Just, okay, do the other stuff fine. Just let me get married, you know, because we know you can't have sex without marriage, right? So let me get married. Let me, even if it's another resurrected one, you know, give me something. Let me do something. It just seems like it would suck, man. It would really suck. But, you know, that's my random thought for the day. There's a reason I thought about this. My mother always hits me with guilt trips about my father. I'll make another video about that sometime. My father wasn't even a witness, so the guilt trip doesn't even make sense, you know. And he was like anti-witness with a lot of stuff. It's not just that he didn't know. He knew and he was against it, you know. But my mother hits me with, oh, you know, your father sure did love you. You know, the righteous and the unrighteous are going to come back, and he was so close to you. And first thing he would do when he opened his eyes, and if he came back in the new system, is, you know, jump up and run around looking for you, trying to find you. And if he couldn't find you, oh, he would feel so bad. He's going to be so hurt. So that's a guilt trip she hits me with, but whatever. I'm not going to be in that fake new system, and my father's not going to be in that fake new system, so there's nothing to worry about. You know what I mean? But just my thoughts about that. You know, the new system just seems kind of weird to me. You know what I mean? But Send me an email, leave a comment. Always there if anyone needs help, wants to talk, needs someone to talk to, you know. And y'all have a good day.